Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Perocho, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager for Community Cloud here at Salesforce. And I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, Community Cloud Puts Customers at the Center of Your Business. Now, we're fortunate enough to be here joined by John Chase, Marketing Manager at Altisource. But before we jump into today's broadcast, let me talk to you about a few ways that you could interact with us today. Now, if you look up at the top left-hand corner, you'll see a questions button. So please click that button and ask us a question at any point during today's webinar. We promise to get to as many questions as we possibly can at the end of this broadcast. Also up in the top left-hand corner is a Rate This button. Now, we realize that you're taking 30 minutes to an hour out of your day to listen to us today, and we want to make sure that we are delivering only world-class content for you to make your purchasing decisions. So please, click the Rate This button and tell us how we're doing. As always, we'd like to remind you of any forward-looking statements. Your purchasing decision should be made based on the functionality today, not on any functionality that may or may not be available in the future. Now with that, let's jump into today's webinar. Now, what if I told you that the number one key brand differentiator in today's marketplace is the customer experience? The customer experience is more important than both price and product. Now, my sister yells at me all the time for this because she's like, Jason, why do you spend $500 to $600 on an iPhone every 2 years? And I look at her and I tell her, it's not just about the product. I know I might be paying a little bit more, but it's that overall experience that I get by purchasing that phone. I mean, it starts by when I see all those beautiful ads that I see on TV, very simplistic, very elegant, very beautiful, enticing me in. I go to the Apple store, a very clean layout. I have one of those Apple employees walk right up to me, does a little bit of consultative selling, make sure that I'm buying only the right product. When I finally make that purchase, it's easy, it's seamless. They swipe right there at the counter. And when I get home, I have this beautiful new white box that it's just beautifully packaged. I almost feel a little bit of joy like opening that up and seeing the iPhone laying there, just beautifully laid out. I turn it on and it's just easily accessible. I intuitively know how to use it without any instruction because that's how it's designed. It's all about experience first in their design. And you know what? Even when it comes to service afterwards, after when I need help with it all, I can easily go online, go to Google, find an article or a self-service option on Apple's website, YouTube, BGR, any of those tech resources out there to learn anything about the Apple iPhone I couldn't figure out on my own. It's that experience that I bought into, not so much the price that I might have paid, I don't know, $100, $200 more than her Samsung Galaxy has, or the product that, granted, some of the other features are a little more advanced on Samsung. It's that overall experience that I'm personally buying into. And research has shown by Forrester and Gartner that, yes, that customer experience is the number one key brand differentiator. Now here, when we think about the key brand differentiator and experience, a lot of the experience that people have with your product comes post-purchase. It comes during that service phase. Now, if we go back to our Apple example, as I said, I was easily able to find all the information that I needed online. And you know what? That's not a coincidence. 72% of customers out there would rather find their answers online than having to call up the self-service agent. Now let's put the marketing profile of using Apple aside and think about how you interact with your bank. Now, the other day I was trying to call in and change a check or cancel a check, and I couldn't figure out how to do it online on my mobile. And I checked mobile, I checked the web, and I just couldn't find an easy self-service option. So I called in, I dialed, and I got that automated voice line that everybody cringes a little bit when they hear. I kept hitting the button, one for the representative, yes, I want to hit my checking account, one again to feed a live agent. And I'm sitting there for like 2-3 minutes and thinking, this isn't great customer service. This is just an automated line. It's just trying to funnel me to the person who may or may not know the answer to my question when I finally reach them. And you know what? Even when I reached that service agent, they had to transfer me to another part of the bank to cancel that check. It would have been so much easier if I could have done that all online. And as I said, 72% of us out there would rather do these types of simple transactions online, and that's where Salesforce and the Community Cloud products fall in line. Giving your customers those options to do self-service help is what really puts customers at the center of your business. Now today we're joined here with John Chase, who is a leading innovator with Altisource about putting your customers at the center of business. So rather than take up more airtime, I'm going to turn it right over now to John Chase, who will talk a little bit about Altisource's use case and experience with Salesforce. So John, welcome.
Thanks, Jason. All right, so really quick, I'll do a little intro of myself and of Altisource to give you a little bit of background. I am the marketing manager for Altisource, and Altisource is a provider of process management solutions to the mortgage and financial services industry. So what that actually means is we provide a bunch of core services like default management, settlement service, origination, asset management, et cetera, all the things that really go into the residential mortgage side of servicing. Last year, we launched a product called Residential Investor One, a national cooperative of residential real estate investors. And this cooperative assists residential investors in finding, acquiring, financing, rehabbing, renting, and selling investment properties. You can visit residentialinvestor1.com for more information if you guys are interested. Last year, we launched the product in the spring, and around that time, we evaluated some different options for community engagement. This being some of the things that Jason spoke to earlier, having our membership to have a place online that they could go and self-serve. So they could go ask questions to the larger community, get help from investors who live down the block from them or across the country on everything from rehabbing a home to finding a good plumber to work on their home. So we launched the Salesforce community in June of 2015, and it has been it was a very successful implementation for us because we used the kind of out-of-the-box communities functionality that's provided, and I'll go into more detail in a minute. But the actual community implementation was focused really around the customer. As Jason spoke to earlier, our desire here was to provide a platform that allowed for easy access to information so that we wouldn't have to be emailing information out to our membership all the time, and it allowed them a place that they could go in and interact with content and ask questions specific to their needs. All right. So as I said before, member engagement was the key here. We needed a self-service portal that we could do the initial setup for, have a community manager in the background moderating some of the content that goes through or answering questions that a particular member had directed towards Residential Investor One. But overall, it doesn't take up a lot of time for us to kind of maintain the community. It really sustains itself. It allows our membership to go in and find information whenever they need it. So they can actually access directly on their mobile device anywhere they are if they have a question for us. We've leveraged the forums and knowledge portion of Salesforce and the cases portion of Salesforce as well to help with that experience. With cases, it allows an individual customer to go in and ask a question directly to one of our customer service reps, and they'll get a question back almost immediately because a case will be generated around an issue they might be having with a particular vendor that we provide to them, which is something we want to rectify and know about as soon as possible. And then we use Knowledge to actually post out information. We have some different experts here on staff that actually create content about residential investing that our membership could find engaging. So those things are posted on a daily or weekly basis. And it allows us to leverage the chatter functionality that's built in to forums inside communities to allow our members to speak to one another when they have questions, because we'd rather have our customers who know themselves the best speak to each other about what their issues are and have an open dialogue with each other. And then they can upvote particular comments that have been made about topics. And you can create other great ways to actually engage your community.
And John, so beforehand, how exactly did people submit cases to you before you stood up Community Cloud?
Well, for a long time, we've had a few other cooperatives that were similar to Residential Investor One and that have used other implementations. And the problem with them that we found was the lack of CRM access to their information. So we would be maintaining a sales record for a particular individual in our CRM, and then they would have a membership with us in a different system that would be maintained in a forum that was kind of one way. So the connection between the two that Salesforce offered, which was creating that doing our prospecting, collecting a lead, working them through an opportunity, and then creating a contact and a membership within Residential Investor One, and then taking that membership and creating a community user was something that was really exciting for us. It allowed us to have one source of content and allowed us to our individual reps to be able to go in and see the full life cycle of a customer right there inside Salesforce. So you see everything from when they became a member, how they came into us through an advertisement, all the way to access to our system.
Excellent.
All right, so what we were able to leverage, and I think I spoke to it a little bit earlier, was the more connected user experience that Community Cloud offers. We were able to integrate the community directly on our website. So there's this is a members-only forum in this case, but obviously they could be you could set up a community that wasn't really behind a login if you'd like, but we wanted a place that was a real member benefit. So if you go to Residential Investor One now, and there's a login button on the top right, and when you become a member, you'll receive a username and password that's generated right out of Salesforce. Our rep is able to go in and activate their account right on their contact record, send them an activation email, and they go in and create their account. And then the customer has direct access to all of the information that's provided there. It's kind of like a seamless experience for them. It allows them to get onboarded quickly. We're able to provide them with information in the portal in a way that's less obtrusive than if you're just sending 15 emails to them to onboard them about different benefits, or God forbid actually printing things out and mailing to them. So we were able to take advantage of Salesforce Accelerator to kind of help us get this started. And the implementation of this community was really managed by myself almost completely, almost 100% just on me. And I had no previous experience actually building out a community before in Salesforce. I just had general CRM knowledge that most of you on this call probably have currently. The Accelerator helped me kind of step through the process of learning how to leverage templates that are available inside the community. So you just go into Salesforce, activate your community account, and you're able to just go through a stepped process of choosing a template and customizing it through a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get editor on the back end, which is really user-friendly. You're able to upload images, customize it almost completely to look like your site, and brand it accordingly, which is obviously extremely important for us because we want our membership to really not know that they're in a Salesforce community. We want them to think that they're on just a separate part of our site that they have access to through their membership. So the Accelerator team was able to help me get started by providing information about communities and how you actually implement, and then walking me through the process of actually doing that implementation, giving me kind of example content of what people have done before to give me ideas, to actually helping me with information to actually structure my information, like make sure that cases were set up appropriately so they were notifying the right people when questions came in, et cetera. And it allowed us to kind of launch really quickly, over the course of about a month or two, through approvals.
So John, accelerators are kind of a new thing here at Salesforce. How did you even find out about our accelerators?
Yeah, it was directly through my Salesforce rep. So we were thinking about, I was looking at a bunch of options at the beginning to see what we could do for a community for Residential Investor One, looking around at a bunch of different options, and I had heard about communities because I'd been using Salesforce, and it's kind of been a new product for you guys that had premiered, and I didn't really know too much about it, but I actually met with our sales rep because we were actually talking about some other products that we're thinking about that Salesforce offers, and he put me in touch with someone in an accelerator to kind of talk to me through what communities was. Sounded good. I was able to get sign off with the business unit to pursue it. And then, the startup was really seamless. I was just handed over to a team of about 3 different people to kind of triage some of the issues that I had and walk me through, they basically held my hand through the process of getting us set up.
And I personally haven't been through an accelerator, but how long did it take? How long was the entire experience from start to finish?
Well, I think it can depend on your implementation, obviously, but for us, it was only about a 3 or 4 month process. It was, from start of thinking about it to actually implementing and launching the product. But then the accelerator team stayed with me after that to make sure that we were actually engaging with our community, and then giving me some information afterwards on how we can best engage our membership and actually grow our membership through community engagement.
So do you think the time you spent, those 3 to 4 months working with the accelerator, even though you had some lag time on the backside, really accelerated your community deployment on the front end?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, all of the information that they provided to me is available. I mean, Salesforce does a good job of making the implementation information available on all of their sites and forums that are out there, or the community pieces that you guys have. But the accelerator was really that, setting you up with, the stepped process. So, to actually get you to launch, here are the, 5, 10 things you need to do to get you to that place.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
All right, so as I talked about a little earlier, we use the community templates that are available. No code required on my part. Didn't have to be a Java developer to figure out how to do anything in here, which was really what we needed. We didn't want to spend the money up front of hiring somebody to come in and build it out, and we looked through the templates that were available, and we found that that there was one that really just fit the bill of what we needed. It was completely out of the box. It was honestly you download it and install it in your system, and you're able to run right from there. And as I said before, you have a complete what you see is what you get WYSIWYG editor in the back end that allows you to make edits directly to content and then link up content that's in Salesforce in Knowledge or in other places in the document section of Salesforce, and have those pull into particular areas that are inside the template. And as I said before, we have an extremely mobile-friendly website. We don't have an app. It's not something that's necessary for us, but we needed this product to actually integrate with that really well. So you're able to go to the mobile site and then click on that login, and you're just brought right into a Salesforce page that allows you to log in, and you have a fully mobile first, like, accessible platform that really restyles everything to fit on your mobile device, because our membership really is on the go all the time. They're real estate investors around the country that are, running from property to property, looking for different information. So making sure that everything is on their phone is really the first place that they access information. So it was really important to us. And then, through the accelerator process, we were able to, the accelerator team was able to give us some suggestions on how to deploy that template and how to tweak it to kind of fit our needs.
I'm just curious, how big is your team, development team that you took to launch this website?
The development team on our end was
Yep.
myself. So it was just me, completely. So it was a development team of 1. It was really looking up everything. Was a matter of going in and setting up a WordPress website or something that's just like an out-of-the-box system that allows you to get in and get up and running quickly.
Excellent.
So one of the key aspects to our member site, our member community, is allowing our members to have access to vendor information. What they're looking for is really, like I said earlier, discounts on things like construction materials, different financing options, everything that comes along with being a residential investor. And what was important to us was to have a place that could have that engagement mentality, and that people could go and talk about certain content, but also to be a repository of content and vendor information. So it allowed us to create these vendor discount pages quickly and then easily be able to edit them through Knowledge. So I just log into my Salesforce account, click on the Knowledge tab. It comes up with all of my content. I'm able to go in there and then update them like you would a blog post on your website, and then hit publish, and that publishes directly into your community. So what this does is it helps our customers kind of help themselves find content and maximize those discounts. So they're able to go in and click into different categories and find different vendors that we have available. And then we're able to actually push information out to them through email or other channels that we have about new vendor discounts, and tell them to, hey, log into the community. Here's a direct link, and you can go and find information out about this vendor, and then just start taking advantage of these discounts almost immediately.
And John, I know we were talking a little bit earlier about this section that really intrigued me, was that when you offer these discounts, other customers would come in and then collaborate on how to best utilize your discounts to help each other. Could you talk a little bit about that?
That's right. I mean, all of the content that's in communities has the chatter functionality hooked up to it. So basically, you're publishing a Knowledge post about some vendor information. Then folks are able to come in and comment about those. They're able to say, hey, this guy was actually easy to work with, or I think you guys should reevaluate this relationship. So it helps us actually go in and see what is working with our vendor relationships, because it really is key to us to make sure that our members are having a good experience. And a lot of that experience is with third-party vendors that we've created contracts with. And those vendors, we don't really have control over the customer service. So this helps us kind of have that check and balance of allowing the customers to use them. And if they have an issue, they're able to surface it here.
Awesome.
All right. So I can talk a little bit about the web-to-case functionality that we currently use. As I said earlier, communities really is a packaging of a lot of things that Salesforce does well. And one of those things that Salesforce does well is cases. We use it all over our company. We have our customer service reps in multiple different businesses using the case functionality, logging cases, and making sure that those get to resolution. So it was great that we could fit this community into that case structure that we currently have in existence. What's good about that is that a member who has an issue with a vendor or an issue with service that we're providing is able to go right into the customer community. They just click one button right on the home page, or on the bottom of any page that says contact a sales rep. If they click that, up pops a window for them to actually put a case in. So it's like filling out an email to us. They submit that, and then it just tracks directly through the community the case resolution. So that case gets logged, and then one of our customer service reps gets prompted that there is a case, and they're able to go in and evaluate it and then rectify it. So directly in there. So it enables us to people to actually post cases, and then peer-to-peers collaborate to answer questions in the community, or they're able to post cases directly to us so that we can resolve them through our team here on our end.
And John, what are the key advantages of having the Lightning Console for Service for your service agents? What has it been able to give them that you didn't have before?
Well, it's they're able to kind of monitor this a lot easier. I mean, it really is just a better user interface. Everything Lightning has just been so much easier to find things. So when we bring customer service people on board, they're able to actually get in there and find things easier. And the same with our customers. I mean, they're able to go in and see cases that have been logged and see where they are in the chain. You know, if they've gotten an answer within 24 hours, which we usually hope to get, or if they have other things that have been, you know, set up that they want to have direct access to.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I have a question here that I can answer really quick about email to case. So basically, you're going to set up what we've done is set up a workflow rule inside Salesforce that anytime a case is submitted, an email is triggered to our Salesforce, our reps on the back end. So if we have a set amount of people that are monitoring Residential Investor One as reps, and when someone submits a case, it goes into our queue, and then an email is triggered to those folks so that they can go in and triage what that issue is. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was how our community is actually growing and changing, and how we're helping it foster some of the things that we were looking to when we first were reviewing different vendors to actually take this on and create a community. Salesforce has done a great job of allowing us to become thought experts in the area of residential investing. It allows us to quickly publish content to the knowledge section, of Salesforce, and then put that out into different sections of our community to give them to prompt, thought and dialogue on particular topics that are of interest to our membership. And in the future, we're hoping to kind of build on some of these things. We're hoping to, use, different functionality inside to customize the template a little bit with Visualforce and allow us to do even more. We're hoping over the next few months to completely integrate the membership renewal process into our community, because we want our community to really be the one-stop shop for our members so that they can go to the website, hit that login button, and then do everything from see where the membership stands, if they owe anything on their membership, if their membership is about to lapse, if they have a question about something. All of those things would be handled directly in the community, so that it will be completely self-service, so that we don't have to have them calling us to renew, which really isn't customer-centric. So that's we're looking to kind of broaden those two things. We're looking to broaden the knowledge implementation that we currently have, so that we can have more content and more engaging content, and then leverage the community to help us build out that content and share it, and then also allow our community to go in and renew their membership and maintain their membership through the system. And that would just be a custom Visualforce implementation for us to do that. So, a little bit of a review of some things here. What I was able to set up was a really quick community for us with a small amount of development resources, which is really just myself, and increase collaboration among our membership. Allow them to go in and create, take their CRM account that was created in Salesforce, through the creation of their lead record turned into a customer, into a contact record in the system with all of their information. All of that information displays in the template. So there is a display of their client, their information, so their name, contact information. So when someone logs in, they're able to see all of that information, update it directly in there. And if we have a question about, hey, your business has moved, or you've moved and you want to update, just log in. They're able to update their information there, so that we can kind of stay on top of that. They're able to upload a headshot and then create that community around that. So it allows them to start being seen themselves as thought leaders within our community, so that they can engage with different content that we've posted. When people start seeing their face, their headshot, and we're starting to put names to faces, and then there's there are people here that are helping each other with issues that might come up.
All right, thanks, John. And just one final question: why would you recommend Community Cloud?
Well, there's a few reasons. The first is the ease of use. So it's extremely easy to set up, especially if you use the templates functionality. The second is the integration with the CRM. That it's been completely key for us. We're not having to maintain 2 databases of information. God forbid, sometimes we've had to maintain 3 to 4 databases of information. And so it's helped us just have one customer record, so we're able to have that kind of life cycle view, single view of a customer that everybody's trying to get to, and this has helped us do that. So we're able to quickly ramp up and get to launch, and then easily maintain through the CRM system that's currently there.
All right, thank you, John. Now let's go to the audience and see if they have any questions. We actually have one question already in queue. So I'll send it to you, John. So when you're posting a question to the community, do you set up alerts so that individuals know when a question is posted? Is it possible to reply to a question within your email?
Yeah, so it's tricky there. Certain things, you're able to set up email alerts within your profile, and that goes for anyone in your system that's actually in there working. So any customer rep is able to set that up. So, if someone comments on a post that you've had, you can get a reply email back that they've posted something. When it comes to a case, you actually have to set up the workflow rules to make sure that you're alerted. So, that would just be a standard workflow rule in Salesforce you'd set up to say, hey, if a case comes in from the Residential Investor One community, send an email to these people. So it's simple, but it's an extra step.
Yep, and I'll pile on to that question a little bit. Here at Salesforce, when our Community Cloud self-service product, we think of raising cases in 3 different ways in a community. The first way is that you want your community members to be able to raise the case themselves, which is why we give them easy access to run-to-case format. So it gets automatically takes the profile, throws it up to the service agent, and they have all the information they need about the question and the person to answer that question. The second area that we like to think of case resolution is around your service agents proactively going into the community, going into those discussions, going into those forums, and seeing if there are unanswered questions in there, and then directly in the feed responding to them, giving the answers they need and alerting them through simple back-end workflow rules. Now, the final way that I think is a key differentiator for us here at Community Cloud is the ability to automatically raise a case if the question goes unanswered. Now, elaborating a little bit on those workflow rules that John said, one of the most common workflow rules that we see implemented is that if somebody asks a question, denoted by a question mark at the end, and there is no responses after that, that question, that posting gets automatically raised to your service desk with the user's profile information already in it so that one of your service agents can respond right away. On top of that, we also have workflow rules that have keywords. So if, say, if I'm a bike rental shop and somebody uses the word broken in the forum, well, rather than wait those 24 hours, we're going to automatically escalate that case right now because that is a key issue that needs to be solved and addressed by my service agents right away to ensure that we're providing that top-notch quality experience and enhancing their customer experience. All right, now let's go back and answer some more questions. All right, what has been the resource requirement to moderate the community? Are visitor queries automatically promoted to support incidents if they are not answered within a defined time frame? And John, I'll let you take the first part of that question. What has the resource requirements been to moderate a community?
Yeah, so For us, it really doesn't take a lot of resources because we have a fairly small membership. There are other businesses within Altisource that have a lot of cases that are generated daily. But for us, we have a member services team and a sales team that's relatively small. So we have about 2 people that are moderating the community at this point. So that's just someone who's the head moderator, and then another person who actually is a content creator, and someone who can help support questions that might come in when the other person is not there. So the resources are very the amount of resources that you need would depend on the amount of people that you have in there. But when you first get started, I mean, the key is fostering the membership and then making sure that information is posted there early and often, so that people find it as a good resource for them, because there are a lot of places on the web that they can go and find information, especially for us in the residential investor market, that they can go and find information elsewhere. So you really have to differentiate yourself at the beginning with content that would be intriguing to these folks.
Mm-hmm. And to answer that question from a Salesforce perspective, I help now moderate one of our groups here in the success community that we have with over 1.7 million members. Now, I use the term moderate extremely loosely because I really haven't had to do much moderation. When you hit a critical mass when it comes to your community, customers are helping answer the questions themselves. So I personally never really had to proactively go in and actually answer a question. Most of our customers beat us to the punch and answer those questions for us. But let's look at this on a whole macro scale, like for all 1.7 million members. Like how big is our support team that sort of manage the people that are around there and answer those questions? Well, the answer is 7. 7 people for 1.7 million people in that success community. So the question of, do communities scale, and is it possible to moderate a large community with a very small team? The answer is a definitive yes. All right, John, I've got another question for you. What was the hardest part about setting up your community?
Well, the hardest part, honestly, was kind of was some of the internal, pieces, which is making sure that you have alignment the correct people to be on the support side, and that you have buy-in from executives. The actual stand-up of the community was relatively straightforward and easy. There's nothing that really comes to mind as a really big pain point. I guess I would have to just point to, we have a Salesforce implementation that has multiple business units in it. So just making sure that you're smart if you're in a situation like that has multiple businesses using one CRM. Just being smart about the way that you when you create cases and you structure all of this content that is structured in a way that's not affecting other businesses that are using the same system. So I would say that was probably, within the implementation, the hardest part was just making sure that our data structure on our end in the CRM was appropriate to support everything that the community was going to bring to us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. And we have one final question. And that question is, once you get people into the community, how do you get people to continuously keep coming back and not attriting?
Yeah, that's the hardest part. I mean, this is that's where we are focused right now, which is creating content that will bring people back. It's something that you need to stay on top of. I know that you're in a situation at Salesforce where you guys have a community that has thousands of people answering questions back and forth. But when you get started in a community, your membership is relatively small, and you need to provide information that's going to be of value to them. So I would say front-loading the amount of time that you involve in the launch of a community is really important. So focusing on when you actually launch, having some content lined up that you want to highlight inside your community is important, and then getting your folks on your end to actually go in, respond to questions that might be there, help push people to it. So when we do promotions to our membership of new vendors that have been added, or new resources, or information that's been posted, all of that leads back to our community. So we want our audience to always be going to the community to start fostering that idea that that's the place they go to find out information about Residential Investor One.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, before we wrap up today, I'd like to remind everybody that we have a few assets attached to this webinar. The first is our Lightning Community Builder ebook that will explain exactly how John was able to launch this community in such a short amount of time. The second attachment is the Service Cloud data sheet, which describes the benefits of the self-service communities and how you can combine Community Cloud with Service Cloud to launch a self-service community in no time. And finally, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact your local sales representative who will answer any of those questions for you. And as always, we'd like to thank you, John Chase, for joining us, all our valued customers, and all of our valued listeners to today's broadcast. Thank you, and have a great day.